Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome everyone to our weekly Sufi seminar. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're learning something about Sufism, and I hope you haven't been too perturbed about everything going on in the Middle East. It's hard not to be affected, but we have to still remain balanced. So, first things first about the Middle East, I did a third text. This one is not a video that you can find on my blog. Everyone that follows this YouTube channel should also connect with the blog. There's a lot more material there. It's called SufiPilgrimsProgress.com, and I will put a comment at the end of this video with the actual URL so you can know how to get there. And there's a brief statement about the Middle East there that concludes the other two videos. Okay, but I wanted to get back to Sufism, to deeper matters rather than political matters, which is what we're going to try to do today. But before we start, keep having to look at the camera. Okay, camera, you're the boss. Before we start, I wanted to, because we're discussing the nature of man, I wanted to tell a joke. This is something that came up on my feed on Facebook that I thought was one of the great jokes that I've heard. Okay, so bear with me. I hope you're into some humor. If not, this might not be the right place for you. Okay, so the joke is the following. A young girl goes up to her mother and she says, "Mommy, where does man come from?" So the mother gives her the biblical explanation. You know, there was Adam and there was Eve and they had children and those children had children. And she said, okay. Then she went to her dad and she said, "Dad, where do people come from?" And the dad gave her, the theory of evolution. So the dad said, well, they were in the sea, and then they went on land, they became reptiles, and from reptiles they became monkeys and chimpanzees, and then man came from the chimpanzees. So the girl goes back to her mother and she says, "What's going on here? You give me one explanation and daddy gives me another." The mother said, "It's simple. I was talking about my side of the family and he was talking about his." I hope you like it. I kept laughing and laughing about it. Okay, we won't get into male bashing here. That's a subject for another discussion at some point in time. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to first, the question is, today is going to be about man, but maybe his more positive qualities, as told to us in the Quran and also as told to us in NDEs. So we're going to start with the NDEs, which are the near-death experiences, from which we can learn a lot on a spiritual basis. So when the NDEers look at the question of what are we here for? What is the purpose of man? These are the things that come up. And then we'll look at the Quranic statements and see where the parallels are and where the differences are. So when they analyze their near-death experiences or look at them, the following four things come up as to the purpose of mankind. One is learning to love and serve others. I'll give you a little quote here. "I learned that the most important thing we can do on this earth is to show consideration, love, and kindness to others. There are no bonuses for position alone or power and wealth. We are judged by how we treat people and what we do for others." Okay. We could call this the humanist position if you want. But there's something deeper than humanism in this, in that there's a divine order behind all of this. And we'll look at it in terms of the Quranic saying. So, number one, mission is to learn to love and serve. Number two is gaining knowledge. In Islam also, the Prophet told us that all knowledge belongs to Islam on some level. All knowledge is for Muslims. We should always seek ye knowledge, even if you have to go to China. Okay, don't go there nowadays. He meant in the old days, when there was Confucianism and Taoism and Buddhism. Now all you'll learn in China is materialism and how to be a tyrant. So don't go to China for now. But there's a lot of other places, even Google, even YouTube, like we're doing now. You can gain some knowledge. Number 3 is spiritual growth. We are here, I'm reading from my own text, to improve our character. Okay, that's part of spiritual growth. Understanding the other side and improving our character. Okay, our prophet, peace be upon him, said, I was sent to perfect character, akhlaq in Arabic. Okay, so that's part of our process here, is to perfect our character. And lastly, but not least, to realize our mission, our vocation, our qada. Qada means destiny from Arabic. Okay, so we each have a mission, actually. The mission may be simple. Some people were sent back just to take care of their child, to take care of their mother, even to take care of animals. Okay, that might be your mission. But there's a difference between following your mission and following your ambition. Yeah, they rhyme. Mission, ambition. Good, bad. So as I've said before, when I used to discuss this issue with my medical colleagues that were actually interested in spirituality, we looked around our class to see which people we thought were really had the vocation, the mission to be doctors. And we concluded it was something like, not a scientific experiment, sorry, it won't get published, 15 to 20% of the people in our medical class were really destined to be doctors. The other ones were chasing money, social status, ambition, parental pressures, everything but. So if you wonder why the doctors are of such a poor quality nowadays, that's one of them. A lot of them are not there for vocation. In fact, my brother, who lives in New York City, the World Center of Materialism, was telling me that when the dot-coms were coming out in the US and people were making more money by being in one of the new technology companies called dot-com, the applications for medical school went down precipitously because all these money-hungry people were going into technology instead of medicine. Okay, so vocation is a thing of the heart. When the Prophet, peace be upon him, was asked about vocation, how do you know what is your vocation? He says, it comes to you easily and naturally, i.e., it's what you want to do. Okay, that's good. Not if what you want to do is be criminal. There may be people with a criminal vocation, but they better get it right before they pass on. Okay, so that's the kind of knowledge that we can generate from the NDE experiences. Now, when we're talking about what we're here to do, we can also talk about what we're not here to do. So I'll read you, this part is in black in the text. What we're not here to do. Hollywood should not be our mentor. Okay, that should be obvious. Having the most fun and the best entertainment is not the purpose of life, okay? The people from the 50s, including my parents, may God forgive them, it was all about enjoy yourself. It's later than you think. And there were a lot of people from that generation. It's all about enjoyment and pleasure and recreation. I remember going to the local pharmacy when I was living in Point Claire and seeing these 80-year-olds, and they were talking about what the theater productions were going to be in the parks in Montreal. You know, they're in the pharmacy, they probably have serious illness, and they're worried about their entertainment. No, we're not here for entertainment. Okay? We're here to do, as the Christians would say, we're here to do good works. That's what brings rewards on the other side. Okay, so repeating that, learning about love, service, gaining knowledge, growing spiritually, improving our character, and realizing our mission. That's a lot, but that's the essence of it. Now let's see how it's formulated and the way I was intending to present it initially with Quranic statements. These are, remember, we were talking about all the bad qualities of man. He's disputatious, he's contentious, he's weak, he's corrupt, all these things that the Quran tells us about man. But now we're looking at the potential of man, his positive qualities. What does Allah say? I'm going to read the Arabic first because I like the sound of it. Pardon me if the tajweed, if the pronunciation is not perfect. That's not what we're doing here. Wa inna kala rabuka lil malaika. Malaikati ina ja'ilun fi al-ardi Khalifa. Okay, the key word there is Khalifa. So God is saying to his angels, I've put, the way the translators, the awkward English translators, call it the vice regent. Any of you met any vice regents recently? I haven't. No idea. They got this from Shakespeare or Wordsworth or somewhere. Vice regent. Okay, Khalifa means a representative, one that follows, khalafa, the other. Okay, so man is here as a representative of God. Ultimately, so God is the boss and we are the managers. And we're accountable for our management. Obviously, we're doing a really crappy job of that, but that's beside the point. So, but that's our job. We're supposed to be managing affairs on the earth in the name of God. Okay. It's a bit different from MBA school, where you learn how to manage money, how to maximize profit. We're here to maximize spiritual profit by being servants of Allah, of God. Wa alama adama al isma kulaha. This is a very interesting one. Okay, this is where Allah says that I taught man all the names. Okay, so if you read some of the philosophers, they'll tell you that all the names, the words, the names of things, they're all arbitrary. You know, we just said that this is 2. Could have been 3 or 4. No. I know people got really confused. How do they know that this is 2 and this is 3 and this is not 1? It's not arbitrary. Allah taught us the names of everything. So when you learn the names, even in a different language, at some point it kind of clicks. The name links to the thing named, and you say, yes, this is a microphone. No, I can't call that a light. It's not an arbitrary choice. That is a microphone. And even though there weren't microphones at the time of Adam and Eve, Allah taught us that name, or inspired the people who were developing it to give us that name. This is a microphone, sorry you don't see it, and that is a light. You can't switch them around arbitrarily. Allah taught us the names of everything. And one of the names he taught us, you'll see where this is going, one of the names he taught us was Allah, or God, or Dieu, or whatever it is in your language. So you can't substitute, because that's the name for that absolute being. So if you call him universal energy, or you call him absolute consciousness, those are both true, but that's not his name. His name is Allah in Arabic, God in English, Dieu in French. He has a proper name, and it's important to use that name. That's why the Buddhists, with all their sophisticated philosophy, are wrong about that one. They say, well, we don't believe in a creator God, we don't believe in a God, we just believe in consciousness. Consciousness is one of the great qualities of Allah and of us, actually, but it's not the name for that being. It's God. And if you read the NDE experiences, you'll see that people, they recognize this light, which is full of peace, which is full of love, and they say, I knew I was in the presence of God. They don't say, I knew I was in the presence of emptiness. I knew I was in the presence of infinite energy. No, I was in the presence of God. That's his name. He taught us that name. وَنَفَخَ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِهِ. So Allah breathed into us from his ruh, from his soul. So yes, we have the soul of God within us. Okay? We're connected. We're made of the similar substance, but we're not him. So the Hindus and the Mansur al-Halajas and the people like that who said, I am God incarnate, they're wrong. No, you have some of God in you. You have an essence in you that comes from God, but you're not God. Otherwise, it leads to all kinds of confusion. وَجَعَلَ لَكُمْ السَّمَاءَ وَالْأَرْضَ السَّمَاء, excuse my Arabic, but we'll get there. وَالْأَبْصَارَ وَأَفْئِدَةَ. Okay. Why is this important? وَجَعَلَ لَكُمْ أَسْمَاءَ. So I gave to them, I put within them, asma'a, hearing. Not just, oh, that's nice music, boy, doesn't that swing, etc. Isn't that great? No. Asma, the hearing of the truth. We have to be able to register. This is batil, this is false, this is true. Allah gave us that means of perception. Wa absara, and inner vision, so we could see the reality of things. Once we develop it, we can see the reality even of people. This is a bad one, this is a good one. It becomes obvious once your eyes are cleared of the veil of mind. Well, afida means feelings in the heart. It's like intuition. So God gave us hearing and seeing and intuition. Sufi Pilgrim's Progress.com. Epistemology, real epistemology. How do you get to knowledge? Through true hearing and seeing and feeling. Not through data collection, statistical analysis, rational elaboration. All that leads to a dead end, as you can see in the world around you right now. No, seeing or hearing first, seeing and feeling. That's the way to know reality. That's the way to know truth. Remember that. And if you want more clarification, back to the blog, SufiPilgrimsProgress.com, and there are several articles on epistemology, a very, very important subject no one's talking about. During the whole COVID, there was only one person that talked about epistemology. All the other ones were epidemiologists, and they were all lost in their statistics. Didier Raoul. Look him up. I think most of his stuff's in French, but he got the COVID right away. And they asked him, how did you understand when none of the other French physicians? He said, because I studied epistemology. Wow. No one knew what he was talking about. But he got it right from the beginning. Ina hadinahu as-sabil, which means we guided him to the way. Which way? Which way? So that also it continues, so that he may be grateful. Okay, which way? Not the way of individualism, not the way of nafs, ego, not the way you want, you like. No, the way of surrender, the way of submission, to the will of Allah. He guided us to that way. How many people are following it? Even people who are people of faith often, they aren't following the way that Allah indicated to us. They're following the way of their nafs. So now they're angry about this, or angry what's going on in the Middle East, or angry about that. They lost their way. Because the way of Allah is not the way of anger. It's not the way of upsetness. It's the way of truth. As I said in the last article on the Middle East, as Muslims, we believe in loyalty. But we believe in loyalty to the truth, not loyalty to the tribe. Okay, which is a lot of what you're seeing, whether on one side or the other. Loyalty to the tribe is not only useless, it's harmful, actually. We need loyalty to the truth. We have honored, I won't persecute you anymore with my weak Arabic for now. We have honored the sons of Adam, providing them with transport in land, sea, give them substance of good and pure things, and conferred on them specific favors above most of our creation. No, like in that joke, man is not like monkeys and chimpanzees and reptiles. Sometimes people act like that, or worse. But man is not like that. He has been given precedence in the world. And the animals are there for us to manage and use and to eat from. This is all in the Quran. We are the top of the food chain. Well, that should be obvious anyway. But I'm talking here metaphorically. We are the most important beings on this earth. And we're not just carbon atoms like everything else. This answers to many of those evolutionary biologists who say, oh, we're just a few mutations away from chimpanzees. Right. Then another thing Allah talks about is ilham, inspiration. And we inspired them about immorality and righteousness. So, this is Surah 91. Ayat 8, if anyone wants to look into it. We inspired them about immorality and righteousness. What does that mean? It means we taught man good and evil, so he should know it. Now people are a lot in denial. We have this relativism. Oh, it's all the same. You practice any religion, it's all the same, even if it's Wiccan. Even if it's occult spirits, even if it's using psychedelic drugs, it's all the same. This is relativism. No, there is right and there is wrong. In Islam they say, Amr bil maruf wa nehi al munkar. We enjoin good, so we encourage people in goodness, and we prohibit them. We try to stop them from doing evil in whatever way we can. Good and evil. Not popular. When you say things like that, people say, oh, you're a moralist. You're judgmental. Well, we need judgment, actually. Yes, I'm judgmental. And judgment is good. So don't listen to those foolish ones who say, oh, you can't be judgmental. Yes, you have to be judgmental. Allah gave you that judgment. He created for you Surah Baqarah 29, I believe. He created for you what is on earth. So man is a special creature. Some people think especially destructive and foolish, but potentially specially good, helpful, creative, serviceable, loving, peaceful. We have all of that potentially in us if we do the right work and we control the bad tendencies of our nafs, of our ego. To bring you back to the point of departure, Sufism is based, at least methodologically, on jihad an-nafs. Jihad an-nafs means fighting with your ego. And when you fight with your ego and get it under control, then the soul and the spirit emerges. And then you can do good on earth, and then you can be in line with the will of Allah, and then you can be a positive force rather than a destructive force in this universe. May Allah give us the wisdom to do that and to be a beneficial force on the earth rather than a destructive one, as man is being mostly nowadays. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun al mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Al-Fatiha.